Alright, so here we have individual elements making up one character. How do we get these individual elements? Well, it's important to make a good selection. So you'll notice the layout of this image, and this is an image I got from from ThinkStock Images. You'll notice the layout has a nice clean background. Also, you'll notice the contrast between the background and the colors used in the honey dipper thing. Now, the honey dipper thing here is standing out, so a lot of preparatory work took place with the photographer here in order to make it easier for us, or in this case me, to select the honey dipper thing, and that is a technical term I'm using. You can look it up on Google. And make sure all I get is the honey dipper thing and not the background. So here I've made my selection. Well, what's next? Well, I could go to select inverse and hit the delete key and get rid of everything, but I don't want to do that because look down here, it looks like I took away from my own image, and I don't want to do that because I might have made a mistake and later on not see that portion of the image, and I might want to get that back. So what do? Well, the first thing I do is hit Command Z to undo that delete. The next thing I will do is select the image itself, and then over here on the layers panel down on the bottom you'll see this little circle and a square, or circle and a rectangle, and it is add a layer mask. By adding the layer mask, what I am doing is simply masking over with the color black the background. The color white, as you can see here, is letting the pixels underneath, or in this little thumbnail here, show through. So after making a selection, simply click on Add Layer Mask, and by the way, if you right click on that little thumbnail, Add Mask to Selection, you can get those pixels back. Also, if you click on this thumbnail, you'll see that selecting the pixels will select the entire image, or at least all of the pixels in that one layer. And also there's several other options when you just right click on the layer itself. So I do recommend you check out all of these different things just a few pixels away from each other on the screen, and there's so much to be seen here just in the layer panel itself. Right clicking or double clicking there, you can rename it. But what if I want to get this back? What do? Well, I simply hit B for brush. Make sure that my default colors are set by clicking on this, or the letter D for default, and then hitting the X key or this little button here will toggle back between the foreground and background colors. And what I'm going to do is, if black is what covers over, we want to make sure we're working in the layer mask. If black is what covers over, then what I want to make sure to do is paint white here. So as you can see, really quickly I've added the pixels that I accidentally did not select back in. So again, a layer mask is a non-destructive way of working with your selection. So should later on you notice that you have a bad portion or area selected, you simply have to go back in, make sure you're selected in the layer mask itself, and reselect that area. I also recommend when you work on these selections or working on your layer mask to zoom in. Now, another thing I wanted to show you real quickly here is let's work with the, well, we've been working with this piece here, the honey dipper. So let's work with the right leg. So turning the layer eye off and back on will tell us which leg we're working with. First thing I'm going to do is, with this layer selected, and you'll notice it has a layer mask here, so if I notice there's anything wrong with the edges, I can go back in and fix that. I'm going to change it to the default, which is normal. So if you'll notice, it was set on a blending mode of overlay. There was nothing changed in the opacity. It was just set to overlay. So here you can see the difference between the blending mode here on the right. This one's set to overlay, and this one is just set to normal. Now my body, or this is actually a corkscrew, here in the background, I'm going to hit the right arrow, bracket key next to the letter P and left bracket key. This will adjust my brush size. I'm going to select this layer here, and I'm going to select the layer mask, and I'm actually going to paint it black. So let me hit the X key. There we go. So notice how if I keep going, you can see what I'm doing. I'm actually taking or covering, adding to the mask, not actually deleting any pixels. But you can see it actually takes away and makes a nice transformation here. If I want to add a little bit more of that leg back in, I can. Of course, that was probably not a very accurate selection, so let me go back here. There we go. Make sure you're working in the right layer. And why is it not working anymore? Well, if you'll notice over here, I'm selected on the layer thumbnail and not the layer mask thumbnail. So make sure that you're working in the correct layer and in the correct thumbnail. So here I'm adding 2. Let's see if we can get it to take away a little bit. And there we go. This has a nice transition between it.